Hey, welcome back to Life After 55, the channel where we talk about health, healing, hope, and holding on to joy one day at a time. If you're over 55, chances are diabetes has touched your life in some way. Maybe you've been told you're borderline, maybe your numbers are creeping up, or maybe you're already managing type 2 diabetes and wondering what else, naturally, you can do to support your body. Today's episode is about understanding diabetes, especially type 2, and more importantly, how lifestyle and natural approaches can make a real difference. Now, before we get started, I want to quickly go over something that's very important, and that's the disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor, nor am I a medical professional or a counselor in any way, shape, or form. The information I provide here is based on my own research and my own experience. This is not medical advice, and you should always, always, always check with your doctor, your healthcare provider, your medical professional before you try any new remedies or before changing your routine, especially if you are already taking medication or if you are managing a health condition currently. All right. Now, let's start out with a basic introduction. Again, this is what is diabetes, or, you know, so let's start by clearing up some confusion. First of all, there are two main types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. This is where the immune system attacks the pancreas and the body produces little to no insulin. Now, people who have type 1 diabetes need insulin to survive, and this is not caused by lifestyle, diet, or by age. You aren't born with type 1 diabetes itself, but you can inherit a genetic predisposition, which means certain genes make you more susceptible, which then needs an environmental trigger, like, a virus or a toxin of some sort, to start the immune attack that causes the disease. It's a pretty complex mix of inherited risk factors and environmental triggers, so it's not solely genetics or something you're born with fully formed. One way to look at it is you get the genetic blueprint for a higher risk, but an environmental event is needed to build the disease on that blueprint. And that's the reason identical twins can have different outcomes. They both share genes, but they may encounter different triggers. All right. So that's a basic overview of type 1. Now, type 2 diabetes, on the other hand, is very different. And this is where most people over 55 fall. In type 2 diabetes, the body still makes insulin, but the cells stop responding to it properly. Insulin's job is to move sugar or glucose from the bloodstream into the cells where it is used for energy. Now, a simple way to think about it is insulin is the key. The cells are the lock. With type 2 diabetes, the lock gets rusty, and at first the body compensates by making more insulin. Over time, the cells become even more resistant, insulin levels drop, and blood sugar stays high, which is what causes the damage throughout the body. Now, here is the hopeful part. Because type 2 diabetes is largely driven by how the body responds to insulin, many people can improve insulin sensitivity naturally through lifestyle changes. All right. Now, next, let's go over why does type 2 diabetes develop after 55, or why is it more common after 55? Actually 50 onward. And again, type 2 diabetes doesn't usually show up overnight. It develops slowly, and that's often over years and years and years, and it's influenced by several factors that work together. One of the biggest contributors is visceral fat, which is basically belly fat that surrounds the organs. This type of fat actively interferes with insulin signaling. Okay. Now, another major factor is a sedentary lifestyle, and I think in previous episodes I've mentioned that I don't have diabetes, but at least not yet, knock wood. But I have a pretty sedentary lifestyle. I work in an office pretty much every day, and I don't go out and walk like I should, and I don't exercise like I should. I mean, I have gotten a little better at all that, but overall, I'd say I have a pretty sedentary lifestyle, and so far I'm lucky. Anyways, as we age, we tend to lose muscle mass, and muscle is one of the primary places that glucose gets stored. Okay, now less muscle means higher blood sugar. Diet also plays a huge role, especially diets that are high in refined carbohydrates, processed foods, and unhealthy fats. And there's one factor that often gets overlooked, and that is stress. I think I've mentioned in the past where I know some people who are stressed out at the easiest, the simplest things stress them out. And I don't know. I try telling them to chill, but apparently it doesn't work as well as I had hoped it would. Anyways, chronic stress does raise cortisol, and that cortisol is the stress hormone. Cortisol raises blood sugar. It encourages fat storage, especially around the belly. And it increases cravings for carbohydrates and sugar. That's your cakes and cookies and all that stuff. Um, I just can't stress enough, no pun intended, how dangerous stress is to one's health. When you think about stress, think about it, like this. Chronic stress is kind of like driving your car with the engine redlining constantly. Okay, and you're still going, and you're going to get where you're going for a while at least, but you're quietly damaging the engine every single mile that you drive. Every mile that you drive is grinding that engine down when you're redlining the car. Okay, and that's kind of the same thing here. You're basically you're grinding away at your body, and eventually the diabetes is going to show up. All right. So on top of that, there's other factors too, like poor sleep, inflammation, and even gut health all contribute to insulin resistance. In short, type 2 diabetes isn't just a sugar problem. It's a whole body stress and metabolism problem. Now, how does traditional Western medicine approach it? In traditional Western medicine, the main goal of diabetes treatment is blood sugar control. Pretty much that's what every doctor goes for, to control your blood sugar. And the most commonly prescribed medication is metformin, which works by reducing the amount of glucose that the liver produces, and it improves insulin sensitivity. Now, there's other medications that may increase insulin production or excuse me, I can't talk tonight. Or they slow carbohydrate absorption. I told you I can't talk. But anyways, insulin is often introduced later in the diet. Okay, let me get it together here. Insulin is produced later on in the disease process for type 2 diabetes in Western medicine. Thank you. To be fair, though, these treatments can be life-saving and necessary for many people. Even Western medicine agrees on something important, that lifestyle changes are still the foundation of diabetes management. And for those of you who may have it, I'm sure your doctor has told you, you need to lose weight, you need to exercise, you need to, move around more than you are or whatever. So, yes, they agree with that part of it. Pretty much, I'm sure every doctor does. And medication manages numbers essentially. Lifestyle addresses root causes. And I think that's important to remember. That's where natural approaches come in. So let's go a quick overview of natural remedies and food support. We can talk about how we can support the body naturally, and food comes first in that list. Um, this isn't about extreme dieting, it's about steady blood sugar. Wait a second, I need to take a sip of my tea here. Sorry, I was getting a dry mouth. All right, anyways, um, like I said, this isn't about extreme dieting or anything like that. It's about steady blood sugar. And a low glycemic approach focuses on avoiding foods that spike blood sugar quickly. Um, Things that do that are refined carbs and sugars mainly, while still allowing whole, nourishing foods. Protein is important because it stabilizes blood sugar and it preserves muscle mass, and that's pretty important. Fiber will slow digestion and it will help reduce sugar spikes, and it supports gut health and it helps with weight control. So, those of us who struggle with weight, and me included in that group, we should take heed to that. Anyways, healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and omega 3s, those all reduce inflammation and they improve insulin sensitivity. So, let's do an overview of specific natural supports. You don't need everything, and you can start slow. So, for example, cinnamon helps to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce fasting blood sugar. Berberine supports glucose control and it works similarly to metformin for some people. Always discuss this with your provider if you're on medication. Gymnema reduces sugar absorption and can help curb sweet cravings. Apple cider vinegar. Now, this is something I started doing, and I'm going to tell you, for me, anyways, it is not easy. It's some foul tasting stuff, but I've done it or I'm doing it. But, anyways, apple cider vinegar taken before meals can improve insulin sensitivity and reduce post meal blood sugar spikes. Omega 3 fatty acids from fish or fish oil, those reduce inflammation and they support heart health, especially important for diabetics. Now, your gut health matters too. Your your gut microbiomes plays a powerful role in metabolism. Poor gut balance, called dysbiosis, is linked to insulin resistance and inflammation. Supporting the gut with whole foods, fermented foods, and probiotics helps restore balance. Foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut. Sauerkraut kind of gives me a chuckle because I think I've mentioned this. My son lives with me and he can't stand sauerkraut, and I eat it sometimes. And he just, that and red cabbage is another thing. And I eat both of those things and I like them both. And he's like totally disgusted and grossed out whenever I eat it. But anyway, sauerkraut is good for your gut health. Kimchi and miso support, they all these things support beneficial bacteria and improve metabolic health. So that's what I hit him with, but he doesn't want to hear it. He's a youngster. He's only 26. Anyhow, let's go on to lifestyle changes. That'll make a big difference. Um, lifestyle changes actually are what moves the needle, so to speak. Like I said earlier, movement does matter. Walking after meals helps lower blood sugar. Now, again, I do not have diabetes yet, knock wood. But I realize, I'm blessed so far. I'm lucky that I don't have a lot of things that a lot of people do have, And I know I have to start taking better care of myself. So I have started trying to walk after meals. Now, again, I'm not perfect, and I have not been, you know, religiously perfect with that, but I am making the attempt, and I am doing better every day. And that to me is what counts. So, walking after meals helps to lower blood sugar. Strength training builds muscle, and muscle acts like a glucose sponge. And again, with the strength training, I'm not talking about going to a gym and, jacking 300 pounds or anything like that. I'm talking about just simple things like I've started, I think I mentioned this too in a previous episode, that I started doing chair yoga. Um, there's also things like Tai Chi for seniors, which is an easy kind of workout, where you're not going to kill yourself. There's yoga you could do, again, and this depends on how your mobility as well. I realize some people just aren't that mobile anymore and can't do these things, but there's always something you could do, even just stretching out, taking your arms out and circling them, just making circles with your arms. That's something you could do, if you're not that mobile. There's, a bunch of things like that that are doable. And again, you don't need a gym. You don't need a gym membership. What really matters is consistency more than intensity. If you were to do this like every day for 5-10 minutes, you're going to notice it'll make a difference. And no, it's not going to be overnight. It's certainly going to take, a little time. You didn't get sick overnight with diabetes, and you're not going to, get better because you're working out or exercising overnight either. Eventually it will make you feel better, and it will help you with your diabetes. Now, weight loss, especially around the belly, and this is more for me than for you or anybody else out there, because I have the belly fat. Or what my mom used to refer to when she saw guys, she would say they have a beer belly. And I've got that beer belly now. But anyways, weight loss around the belly dramatically improves insulin sensitivity, and even modest loss makes a big difference. Stress management, again, is critical. Like I said earlier, stress is a lot more dangerous than people think. It's, again, I go back to the car engine analogy, where it's like I'm pretty sure everybody understands a car engine. If you floor it all the time and you got that thing gunned and it's redlining constantly, you're going to blow that motor out a lot sooner than it was designed to blow out. And it's the same thing with stress. You're basically driving yourself, or you're redlining yourself all the time, which is, igniting your cortisol, which is not good for you. Chronic stress keeps blood sugar elevated, and that is not good for somebody with diabetes, as I'm sure many of you already know that. But anyways, for me, with any ailments that I have, prayer, breathing, quiet time, and reducing constant stimulation all help calm down your cortisol. And yes, there are times where I do get stressed out, but it's rare. But when I do, those are the things that I do. I try to, bow my head for a minute, and wherever I am, I'll say a quick prayer. And then I try to get away, even if I have to get in my car or go to a different room or something, and just have some quiet time for a few minutes, focus on something peaceful. For me, that's reading a Bible verse or two. And I'm not, preaching to anybody. I'm just saying this is what works for me. Like I said in the disclaimer, this is all stuff that, from my experience and my research. But again, that works for me. And reducing constant stimulation. Turn off your phone, turn off your TV, turn off the radio. Just, be quiet, or spend some quiet time, instead of constant, video or whatever, stimulation. All right, and sleep isn't optional either. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance. Remember, This isn't about perfection. Small daily changes done consistently beat big changes that are done briefly. Okay? All right, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this episode of diabetes, or this venture into diabetes, I guess. And one of the reasons I meant to mention this in the beginning, and I just now remembered it. One of the reasons that I did this episode is because somebody had contacted me a while back, and said, you do all these episodes, you haven't done anything on diabetes. And I realized this person was correct. I went back and looked, and I was like, they're right. I haven't done anything on diabetes. So here it is. And hopefully that person will see this, and, hopefully it'll help. Now, I have a quick announcement to make. This channel is being rebranded, and it is going live. So before I wrap up, I wanted to share that with you. I think it's pretty important. The channel is evolving, and beginning on Tuesday, January the 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Life After 55 is becoming Life After 55 Health, Wealth, and Headlines. And you'll see that up there. Nope. You'll see it up there, or up there. I guess you'll see it up there. Yeah, you'll see it up there. I still can't get that right. Anyways, yeah, so, it'll be the same heart, the same honesty, and it'll be yours truly doing it. But on a broader focus, because health, financial peace, and purpose are deeply connected. We are going to be going live every other Tuesday, like I said, starting on January 6th. And we're going to be streaming both here on YouTube and on X. And on YouTube, the channel that we are going to be broadcasting from, I think it's up there, it is at 55 Health Wealth, which is one word. That's the YouTube channel. The X channel where you can catch this is going to be at Life After 55 Live. Again, all one word. All right. Now, live episodes mean real conversations, real questions, and real connection. In other words, when we go live, there will be a chat feature there, and you'll be able to, get into the chat. And if you have a question while I'm on the air, you can certainly ask the question, and I will do my best to answer it. If not in that episode, it'll be in the following episode. And one more thing, it's hopefully not going to be just me. I am currently searching for a warm, camera-ready female co-host between the ages of 40 and 65 to join me. If that sounds like something, if that sounds like you, I should say, or somebody you might know, email me at, again, lifeafter55channel@gmail.com. Okay? And again, it's a paid thing. You'll get paid per episode, and we'll get into all that later. But I hope you will subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us live on January 6th at 7 p.m. Central Eastern Time. All right, so let's get back to the episode. If you are dealing with diabetes or pre-diabetes, hear this. You are not broken. Your body is responding to years of stress, habits, and changes, and it can respond positively to support. So there's no better time like today to start. Healing, again, does not happen overnight, but it does happen with patience, consistency, and grace. So if this episode helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs encouragement. And as always, if you have any prayer requests, questions, or topics you would like me to cover, leave a comment or reach out and email me. And again, the email is up there. Okay? You can email me there. And before I go, I want to give you a quick heads up about next week's episode. We're going to be next. I'm going to have another episode next week, and we're going to be talking about something a lot of us struggle with after 55: weight and metabolism, especially around the holidays. The next episode is called Natural Ways to Support Metabolism and Weight After 55. Now, we're not talking about crash diets or extreme plans. I think we all know that doesn't apply to us at this stage of the game. I'm not going to be, telling you need to go on this diet or that diet. I personally think diets are ridiculous, and it's $1 billion a year industry. So that's not what it's going to be about. But we're going to talk about specifically for the 50 plus crowd, about managing our metabolism and our weight. And again, I'm looking forward to that personally because I am the number one candidate to manage my weight and all that. But we're going to be looking, instead of looking at diets and stuff, we're going to be looking at hormones, stress, blood sugar, sleep, and natural ways to support your body so that it'll work with you instead of against you. So hopefully, if weight loss has felt harder than it used to, don't feel like you're alone, because trust me, I'm in the same boat. Or if you're just trying to get through the holidays without things spiraling out of control, you're not going to want to miss next week's episode, okay? All right, so that's a wrap for this one. And until next time, take care of your body, your peace, and your joy. And before I go, you'll notice I have my Christmas background here because it is right now December 13th. So we're closing in on Christmas, and I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to each and every one of you. And if I want to do that now in case I don't see you next week, but I will be here. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be traveling or busy or whatever. But I do want to extend a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody who's out there. And I hope you all have a safe and happy holiday and enjoy your family and your loved ones. Okay, so with all of that said, I will see you here again at this, well, not at this time, but on this channel next week. Okay? Thank you for watching, and hopefully I see you next week. Bye-bye.